according to developers, the Nintendo Switch 2 is super easy to develop for, as the new handheld is essentially a tiny mid-range gaming PC that basically easily beats out the Steam Deck, according to them. Let's talk about it. Let's get hyped up for the Nintendo Switch 2. For your daily dose of Nintendo Switch 2 news, tech news, gaming news, please smash the like, subscribe, click the bell icon, it really helps out. And also check out our links down below in the video description. I'm Blazed2k. Let's get into the news and let's talk about it. So developers have weighed in on the Switch 2. Obviously, here's an article from Video Gamer. We read out the intro at the start, or the title of the article. Basically, after years of leaks, Nintendo has properly unveiled the Switch 2, and it was a pretty damn good reveal. Heaps of specs, new games, as well as features such as the Discord-like game chat. While seeing a slew of games for the new Nintendo console was fantastic, what's more interesting is what actual developers think of the new hardware. Now, while the original Switch was praised for being easy to develop for, its lack of power made it a hard system for new AAA games to release on, and we saw that with the Switch 2. Obviously, we never saw a lot of big games come to the Switch 2. We never saw games from Activision, shooter games, a lot of racing games besides Mario Kart. Obviously, the Switch was a very hard system to develop for, and even with it selling and being one of the most successful consoles in history, just about, maybe not PS2 level, but it's definitely up there. I was surprised not to see as much third-party support, and that comes down to the fact that it was a very underpowered system, and it would be like it was darn near impossible to port a lot of games. I mean, we did see some games get ported to the Switch, but in most cases they ran really poorly. It was damn near a feat of engineering to get them on there. But like the article says here, basically games like Doom Eternal, Wolfenstein 2, they did release on the system in the form of so-called miracle ports. In The Witcher 3, let's not forget that. They were always substantially worse experiences than on other consoles. And with games like Next Gen only Star Wars Outlaws, Cyberpunk 2077, and the true version of Hogwarts Legacy coming to the handheld, it's clear that the Switch 2 is a powerhouse handheld. But how easy is it to work with the new system? So according to the developer, Nintendo Switch 2 is easy to work with. Speaking to veteran games journalist Stefan Totilo at GameFile, numerous Nintendo Switch 2 developers explained that it's incredibly easy to work with the new system. Just like the original Switch, the tools that Nintendo's developed for the new system are powerful, efficient, and easy to work with. Civilization 7 executive producer Dennis Shirk explained that the new handheld is like a mid-tier PC. A mid-tier PC in the palm of her hands from Nintendo. It's amazing. In a minuscule form factor, with the producer saying it's got enough power for modern games. As for actually creating games for the system, Shirk explained that Nintendo has been a great company to work with. They made it easy. The developer said their software development kit is great. The customer support, their developer support, developer relations great. The sentiment was echoed by Hogwarts Legacy head of technology Rob Nelson. While the current Switch has a version of the game, it's heavily compromised with large loading zones, massive visual cutbacks, and the new Switch 2 version is the same as PS5 and Xbox Series X, albeit on the go and quite attractive looking. They say in Hogsmeade, we had a hard load before, the developer said. Now we're able to remove that hard load. You get in and out of shops quickly. I would say it's comparable to working on the Switch. It wasn't overly challenging. Nintendo collaborated with us. It was always forward momentum. We had a good development cycle. And as someone who's attempted to play Star Wars Outlaws, the writer says on videogamer.com, on the Steam Deck, the Switch 2 footage looks like a miracle occurring in front of me. And the Star Wars Outlaws on the Switch 2. Look at that. Look at that. Honestly, I'm a big Steam Deck fan. I love the Steam Deck. Just the possibilities, the tinkering it allows you to do, the access to Steam games, emulation with EmuDeck, like, it's the whole shebang. It's even got an OLED screen. It's got analog triggers. It's got, as far as hardware is concerned, it might not be the slimmest, sleekest looking console like the Switch 2, but it offers the most. The touchpads, like I said, analog triggers, which the Switch 2 doesn't have, and the OLED screen, and the tinkering, and the software, and the OS, and the access to PC games. I love it. But you've got to admit, this looks absolutely phenomenal. I just don't think the Steam Deck could look this good. That looks like a miracle. Now, as a new device in the handheld space, the Nintendo Switch 2 has been frequently compared to the Steam Deck as of late. While Valve's awesome little handheld can play games such as Assassin's Creed Shadows, the new Switch is more powerful, smaller, lighter, and has a higher resolution screen with a faster refresh rate. It does. Steam Deck maxes out at 90 frames. Switch 2 is 120, and they're similar price points. And I know a lot of people give the Switch 2 a lot of flack for being the price it is, 450 to 500, assuming tariffs don't impact that, of course. It's pretty comparable in price to the Steam Deck, and it gives you a lot of features. Now, granted, it doesn't give you the flexibility of, doing, tinkering with it, going into desktop mode, using it like a PC, doing whatever the heck you want with it, right? Doesn't give you access to constant game sales like Steam does. I mean, Steam is always having sales. That's what I love about Steam. That's why I'm a PC gamer at heart. And games are always going on sale. You get instant access to games on day one that are multi-platform. I love that about Steam Deck and PC gaming, right? Whereas Switch, you will have to wait for games to be ported to it. But as far as power is concerned, as far as the hardware is concerned, minus the analog triggers, that's a pet peeve. I know I keep going on about it. But as far as everything's concerned, the whole package, I feel like it's pretty good value. And if we lived in Japan, we'd get it for even cheaper, because I think it's at like $343 US dollars in Japan. I guess Nintendo thought, Americans are rich, so we can all afford 450 to 500. And that's what it should be valued for us. But we'll leave that for another video. In fact, I've covered that already about what Doug Bowser said. Hades 2 developer Greg Kasavin also touched on the new device, revealing that the new version of the game runs at a target 60 FPS on both Steam Deck and Nintendo Switch 2, while the Nintendo Switch 2 may end up proving to be a better experience due to its higher resolution. It's clear that developers will still be targeting Steam Deck for some releases, and as expected, the Switch 2 is powerful, very much so. As Nintendo's only platform going forward, it's obvious that the Japanese console giant has gone all out on cramming as much power into the handheld as it possibly can. The Switch 2 is easily running games that bring the Steam Deck to its knees, with ports like Cyberpunk 2077 looking far and above the Deck versions, just 7 weeks into development, with the system able to utilize DLSS image reconstruction instead of FSR, as well as add in ray tracing on a handheld on Cyberpunk 2077, one of the most demanding games as far as ray tracing is concerned. It's just absolutely amazing. One thing's for sure, the Nintendo Switch 2, say what you will about it, right? Complain about the prices, the game prices being high, complain about the system being high, even though I don't think it's high-ish. But the features that it gives you, like, for example, being able to play top-down RTS games, Civilization, with a mouse on the Switch 2. Who 5 years ago, 10 years ago, would have imagined that we'd see a mouse on a Nintendo console? Being able to move around the cursor in FPS games, top-down RTS games. People just wouldn't believe it. I think I got a lot of flack when I posted a video when we first looked at the Nintendo Switch 2 trailer, and I said to everyone, I says, there's an optical sensor on that Joy-Con. It looks like mouse control. I think they're going to be using it as a mouse. And people scoffed. People laughed at me. Go back and look at the comments. There was a few comments that says, Blaze, that isn't a freaking mouse. Nintendo aren't going to put a mouse on their console. They did. They just did. Honestly, I kind of doubted it myself. I thought it was crazy as well at the time. But I was like, it's an optical mouse sensor. Plus, there's glide pads on the bottom of it. Well, what else could it be for, right? So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting generation for Nintendo. And I think, honestly, the further down generational-wise we go, the more it becomes more of an adult console instead of a kid-focused console. I mean, look at the 3DS, right? Not to say the 3DS was for kids and the DS, but I've noticed they've started taking themselves a little bit more seriously as years have went on. Obviously, it's looking less like a toy than ever before. It's running games that just you would never have seen on Nintendo. I mean, look at the Switch, right? Doom Eternal. There's a lot of scary, intense adult games on the original Switch, and it seems like they're taking that a step further now by allowing even more third parties to make stuff for this. I would love to see if the new Battlefield is going to come to this. I'd love to see if Call of Duty is coming to this, because obviously I mean, that would be a big thing for Nintendo, right? And with the mouse control as well. Can you imagine playing Call of Duty Warzone in the new on the new Verdansk or something on the Switch 2 with the mouse control? It would be absolutely nuts. Anyways, guys, stay up to date with new Nintendo Switch 2 news. I'm Blaze2K. Check out our 24/7, 7 days a week, 24 hours, 7 day a week, 365 days a year, hopefully. Nintendo Switch 2 live stock tracking stream. We're going to be having a stock tracking script up here to where you can track the stock for the Switch 2. As you know, it's going to be sold out really fast. It's going to be very successful. Bots and scalpers are going to be fighting and crawling over each other to try and sell this thing for 4 times the cost of it on eBay and whatnot. So if you want to have the upper hand against them, check our Switch 2 stock tracker, bookmark it, check on it from time to time, because when pre-orders go live, this will alert you. It's going to go silent once pre-orders go live, and the only time you'll hear a noise is when the Switch 2 comes into stock. So go check that out, bookmark it, hit the like if you can, and hit the like on this video if you can. Like and subscribe for your daily dose of Switch 2 tech news, gaming news. I'm Blaze2K. I appreciate your time. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'm Blaze. See you in the next one. Goodbye.
Let's go.